Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome to the first session where we discuss the secular book we are reading. We had started an initiative where we read an Islamic book as well as a secular book. And we mentioned before, as we mentioned on Sunday, the reason for this is firstly, we are a nation, we are an ummah encouraged to read and to benefit. And we spoke about that when speaking about the Islamic book. There's a lot of secular books which have a lot of benefit in them. We as Muslims, we take that which is beneficial, that which is in conformity with the Sharia, that which is not in conformity with the Sharia, or that which goes against our beliefs, we leave to the side. And that's in that way a believer is able to benefit and take whatever is good, whether it's to do with his religious or dini affairs as well as his worldly affairs. The first book we started reading is called Relentless, written by a world famous coach known as Tim Grover, and he coached a lot of basketball greats. Now, the book is not about basketball. Rather, the book is about mindset. And the reason why I chose this book is so you guys get a glimpse into the minds of certain people who've reached the top level in their respective fields, what it takes, what type of mindset do they have? Because when you're able to, at times, what happens is you're in a community where people are generally average. People complain about how it's difficult, how it's hard. And everybody in your community only knows one way of doing it, right? And then the minute you expose to somebody who they don't worry if they're waking up, for example, at 5 in the morning, they don't worry if they reach that point where they become tired and it becomes difficult, but they carry on pushing. The minute you hear about that, you read about that, you experience that, you then realize that some of the limitations that you've put on yourself are purely from your mind. And if others can do it, so can I. So if you look at it so far, what we've read in the book is speaking about the mind. It's speaking about how a person needs to condition himself when it comes to him believing and knowing that he's able to do certain things. And obviously, Islamic belief, we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We seek our help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the one who guides. Allah is the one who gives tawfiq. And at the same time, Allah ordered us to make effort. And the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, Al-mu'minu al-qawiyyu khayr wa ahab ila Allah min al-mu'min al-da'if. The strong believer in his iman, in his physical being, his strength that makes him a better Muslim, is better and more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the one who is weak. There's a few points I want to touch on in the book, if you guys have your book open. Also, if there's anything you guys want to debate or critique or something you found of benefit, I'll give you an opportunity to share that. First thing I want to mention is there is swearing in the book. We as Muslims, we use clean language at all times, even though we may find in our circles today on social media, certain leaders, it's become the norm to swear. As Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقُلْ لِعِبَادِي يَقُولُ الَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Tell my worshippers to say that which is best. Not only better, best. And best includes using the cleanest of language and that which pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, he wasn't vulgar. He wasn't somebody who cursed. He wasn't somebody who swore. So even though the book does have a little bit of swearing here and there, there's a lot of great benefit besides what we just mentioned. Khaybar, is there anything you want to share when it comes to the book? Anything you want to critique? Anything you want to bring up? If you have the page number, we can go through it.
Not really.
What made you carry on reading the book? How far have you reached?
I've read about 70 pages.
Yeah.
And the reason I carried on reading, this is the advice that he gives to this top level athlete, that top in the world, and this advice also to anything you want to be top at, it's to them. You got to be unstoppable. You have to be relentless. You have to keep going.
And if there's something I want you guys to notice is look at how at times you may be watching a match. Here we're talking about athletes. You may see, for example, a successful person. You're seeing the glitz and the glamour. You're seeing their success. You're seeing their accolades. You're seeing them receiving awards and trophies and money and whatever it may be. Not realizing that you looking at them from the outside. Whereas when you have a glimpse from a coach, or you live with somebody who's on that level, you see how much work, or you hear how much work goes into this endeavor that they've been pursuing. When it comes to sports people, just how much practice. You hear about somebody waking up early in the morning and they're not going home. They're literally living at the gym or the performance center, whatever it may be. Same when it comes to a person doing hifd. It's nice and it's lovely to hear a recitation of somebody who reads well, doesn't make mistakes, etc. But at the same time, you've got to realize that that person also put in a lot of effort behind the scenes. And my message to all you guys, especially those who are younger, we live in a community, as he mentioned, or in a time where there's instant gratification. We all have it. So the minute something becomes hard, we want to leave it. No, you've got to be able to go through that struggle and carry on going on this road, even though you come into difficulty. And you should be, as he mentioned, unstoppable. You should be relentless. If somebody else can do it, so can you. If you're hurting today, the other person who's pursuing the same goal is also hurting. If you've lost something, a lot of times people sit and they think, you know what, all the odds are stacked against me. What can I do? You know, for example, they'll say, I don't have money. My father doesn't have anything. Oh, that person inherited from so-and-so. Oh, this person is healthy and I've got a certain disease. No, every single person has their challenges in life. Life was not 100% for anybody. And if it was going to be 100% perfect for anybody, it would have been for the Anbiya, the messengers of Allah, alayhimus salatu wassalam. Rather, we know that the messengers, alayhimus salatu wassalam, were the ones who were tried and tested the most. So that's an extremely important point, is a lot of the times we see the success not realizing how much work, how much sacrifice went into it. And I don't know if you guys already reached the part in the book, but he will mention it, where he's speaking about these top level athletes and how they used to come early in the morning. They used to have their 5 a.m. club, 4 a.m. club, where 3-4 like-minded individuals, they got together just in order to work hard, to train, so they can reach the goal and become better. Another important thing is, I was reading in another book where they speak about the mind, okay? And they were talking, same thing, giving an example about basketball. They said sometimes a person is injured, okay, physically, but sometimes it's not the physical injury may be an excuse. It's actually a mental injury. And that's why they say, let's say somebody's coming back from injury, okay? They were giving an example of basketball. If he goes to the court and he shoots 100, okay? Or what's better for him? Is it better for him to go and shoot 100, or start off by shooting in his mind, literally by playing the tape in his mind? Okay, in your mind, this is how you shoot, this is how you shoot, this is how you shoot. When you're able to go over the motions in your mind, then putting it into reality becomes easy. And I read about famous swimmer, it's Michael Phelps, and they said that his coach used to tell him, when he was still young, he used to say, play the videotape. So every night he would swim in his mind. He used to practice, obviously, physically swimming, but he also used to swim in his mind, and he used to play that tape going. So when the actual event came, he's already been through everything, and he's already prepared for anything that may go wrong, or anything that may occur. He's already done it. He's rehearsed it so many times in real life and also in the mind. Saeed, anything you want to share? Anything you want to critique?
One aspect I found interesting, and it's something that comes back throughout the book, that is that he stresses on the mindset of not being content with your achievements, and that you should have a mindset that you shouldn't want a tap on the back, that you shouldn't want to hear a compliment, because at the moment you get that gratification, or that how you call it, that verification, and you are content with that, that's a sign that you're actually not what he calls a cleaner. You're not someone who goes all the
Takes
way.
initiative and goes all the way.
Because at the moment you are content with what you have achieved, that means you're not setting higher goals, because one who, no matter what he achieves, he keeps on wanting to achieve more, and he's never content. So he stresses that mindset, that you should have that mindset. And at the moment that you're content with a tap on the back or with a compliment, then you don't have that mindset. And he stresses that throughout the book. I found
And
that it was
sorry, it was your mic's on mute.
Intriguing, interesting. Yeah.
Yes, it's
interesting
very,
angle of
yeah. It's very interesting and very important, that point, because a lot of the times you'll find if you're putting in the effort, hoping to see a result or hoping for somebody to praise you, if they don't end up praising you, or on social media, you don't end up getting that following, or you don't end up getting those likes, a lot of people leave it. A lot of people stop. Rather, it should be for you yourself, and you know that I have to go out, I have to do this regardless of whether nobody sees me, one person sees me, 10 people see me. That's my job. I have to go and do it. So that's extremely important. And it's about, as he mentioned, knowing who you are firstly. When you know who you are, where you came from, what you need, then you're able to go out and move. Also, there's an important point that he doesn't mention because he's a non-Muslim, that we as Muslims should always keep in mind, is the importance of ikhlas and sincerity. And that is the fuel that keeps a person going. If you are truly sincere in any good deed that you're doing, even if nobody recognizes you, even if people throw shade or they shame you, and you know that you're doing something good, your sincerity and your ikhlas should take you through. So you know, for example, that Allah wants me to do this, Allah will be pleased if I do this. You carry on and you carry and you go forth. That's why the previous ulama and the previous scholars, they stressed a lot when it came to ikhlas, when it came to sincerity, because I want you to ponder over this and just reflect. We as Muslims, what are we supposed to be living for? What's our purpose in life? Our purpose in life is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the way he wants to be worshipped. And bi'idhnillah, a person passes away and then he enters into Jannah. Now imagine somebody who doesn't have that belief. What drives him? Is it money? How many people after earning, it's either not enough and never will be enough, or they say that now I've made my 1 million, 10 million, 100 million. What is there to life? Some people chase women, or some people chase any other thing in the dunya. After they get it, then they say, what is there to life? So when you've got ikhlas and when you've got a higher purpose, something higher you're aiming for, you don't worry about these dunyawi things, these worldly things. Anybody else wants to share anything? Omar, we haven't seen you for a long time. We haven't heard from you. Omar?
Sheikh, I skipped the secular book because there are too many things to manage. After 13 hours of job, I'm also attending the Ustad Mudaffir's lecture. I'm here just to benefit from others.
MashaAllah, and that's very good, and there's a point I want to share when it comes to that. At times, in fact, all the time, you know your situation better than any other human being. So you, for example, realize that Ustad may be giving me this piece of advice or maybe encouraging me to do this, but you know, you can't do it. It's not possible to do it, or it may not be in your best interest to do it. You can leave it. It's fine. It's fine. And same when it comes to life, somebody giving you advice on marriage, for example, or in your business, or how to bring up your kids, or whatever they may be giving you. Take advice from here, from there, from wherever, as long as it's good advice. But you don't have to practice upon that advice. And a lot of the times, the advice may not be bad, but it's not applicable to you. So somebody may be encouraging you to do X, Y, and Z. They may be saying the right thing, but it may not be applicable and it may not be the best thing for your situation. So well done, at least we benefited from you. Somebody want to mention something? Nuzha? Yes?
Yes. I wanted to add there is an ayah وَأَن لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. I think this applies for everyone, that we insan get for the effort that they make. If we make effort for something, either it's sport or studies, work, or anything, I think we will see the results, we will bear its fruits. But if we don't put the efforts, we won't have it. I got that conclusion from where I've read till now.
وَلَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. And added to that, we are all encouraged to make an effort. We are encouraged to work hard. If you look at the life of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the lives of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they were people who were determined. They were people who went out. They were people who, imagine, they traveled from country to country, either walking on camels, on horses, etc., to spread the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, number one. Number two, to help others. They lived in different places for the greater good of the Muslimin. So what does that require? Imagine somebody today came to me, for example, and said, okay, pack up and you've got to leave. We need you here. You need to go here. You need to go there. It's difficult. Not all of us can do it, but it was their determination and the fact that they had ikhlas, knowing that they would be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they did make that effort. And even when it comes to striving for the dunya, in Surah Al-Muzammil, at the end, Allah Jalla wa Ala makes mention of different types of people. Those who are performing Qiyamul Layl with the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And then he says whether they were performing half the night, a little bit more, a little bit less than half, a third of the night. Then he mentions a few others in that context. وَآخَرُونَ يَضْرِبُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ يَبْتَغُونَ مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ. There's a group from them who go out to seek, i.e. seek sustenance and wealth from the virtue of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah says, فَقْرَؤُوا مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنْهِ. All of them, encouraging them to recite the Quran. Some of the Mufassirin mention the fact that Allah mentioned all these categories in this ayah shows the virtue of also going out to seek that which is halal. Ibrahim, you can't talk. Anybody else? Anything you guys want to share? Saeed?
Another thing is when he mentions the writer, the author, when he mentions the three categories, he mentioned the closers, the coolers, and the cleaners. The ones who just go with the flow, or the ones who actually do something, but they are content when they achieve something. And then you've got the cleaners. And then he makes this list of characteristics of what a cleaner is. And I found some things that I think are a little bit contradictory with what Islam teaches us. Namely,
belief.
For example, he says a cleaner rather wants to be feared than loved. I think there's kind of a harsh attitude, to have towards the world. I don't think you have to be, in order to be successful, you should want people to fear you. But
so I think correct. But remember, he's also talking more from a sporting perspective, where you always coming up against opponents. But you're correct. We have the best example in the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in. But it's very interesting, some of the points he mentions when it comes to, I want you to go through those points and look at people who you think in your life are successful, and look how many traits they have. You'll find generally they the ones who have initiative, they the ones who come forward, they the ones who, even if it doesn't work out for them, they pick themselves up and they carry on. They're not afraid to come out of their shells and to perform. And similarly with all you guys, when it comes to reading these books, what's my main purpose? Yes, you're reading, but more than that, inshallah, every single one of you'll become leaders, and you are leaders in your own different fields. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open for you, bi'idhnillah. You must be equipped before you lead. And that's why there's a saying of, I think it's Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, when speaking about seeking knowledge. And he's saying, seek good Islamic knowledge before you have a mansib, and before you have a title, you're given a position, because then it becomes very difficult. It becomes very hard. So similarly, all you guys, this is supposed to prepare you, supposed to help you with your mindset, supposed to allow you to say, okay, here, no matter who this person may be, here I disagree. It's not applicable to me. This is contradicts my Islamic belief. So well done, mashallah. It's excellent. Can you say the qualities again? The qualities in the book, Sheikh Said, which page? You remember or you don't remember?
I just said it from the top of my head. I don't have the book with me now.
I'll send them to you.
I think it was somewhere around 60 or 70.
Yeah, in my book is about 48. It's long. It's about 2-3 pages long. It's very interesting.
Yes.
And the main thing he's speaking about is, and that's another point I want to touch on. He says there's people who aim for success. So let's say they aim to get to the top here. Okay, then after that, it's finished. They come down. He said it's a mission to get to the top, and then it's another mission, and even harder to remain on the top. Even harder to remain on the top. And that's why you find a lot of times, even Islamically, even when it comes to good work, even when it comes to your own life, look at your own life. Think of a time where you needed to work hard in order to achieve something, to attain something. And then after working hard, with the permission of Allah, you achieved that thing. And then you stopped. You said, I don't really want to go through the headache again. I don't really want to suffer again. So he's talking about that. It's interesting. You worked hard to get there once. It's good. But now staying there on that level and staying at the top is extremely, extremely difficult. That's even harder than climbing in the first place. Anybody else wants to share anything? How did you guys find the book? Was it something different? Was it something eye-opening? Or did you guys just not like it at all?
It was okay. I think it's I think it's like 300-400 pages, right? So I think I'm now on 1/4. So I have to see what's next. But at the beginning, I thought like he wasn't very humble. You know, he started like that sportsman started to call the number that everybody calls when they are in need. So I think, well, he's not really humble or anything. So, but I started to like the book more when I reached like page 40 or something, or 30, when he started really talking about mindset. And I think I like it. The swearing is sometimes a bit, it's too much, but it's okay. Yeah,
I hope it was something different.
Yes, it's not a book I would normally read by myself. You know.
Yeah. Faiba?
I've read similar books. One, Mindset by Dr. Carroll. But it's a good motivational book. It's a good book to start you onto something, a good adventure.
If you look at it, generally all these people, what's the limitation a person has? Think about limitations, okay? Generally, where's the limitation? It's in the mind. You find there was one da'iyah person who, a sheikh, not a sheikh, a da'iyah. He passed away now. He was paralyzed the whole way. He could only talk. Okay, he passed away a few months ago. He was giving da'wah from his bed for all these years. So what is it? Is it physical paralyzation that causes a person not to achieve? Yes, it may make it more difficult. Physical ailment may make it more difficult. However, it's still possible. So what about us who, alhamdulillah, we generally healthy and we've got intellect, we've got strength, we've got the opportunity. What about us? We're also supposed to be making the most and striving when it comes to being the best in whatever we do. And that's why also ihsan, أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه. To worship Allah as though you can see him. فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. If not, then you should know that Allah is watching you. Ponder over this meaning. What is ihsan trying to get from a Muslim? It's trying to get perfection. It's trying to get excellence. You strive to be the best in what you do. Allah praises himself for having perfected the creation of the human being. الذي أحسن كل شيء خلقه. Allah is the one whom everything he created, he made it the best. The nature around you, the people around you, the life that he's given different animals, etc. So similarly, as a human being, you strive to have that. You strive to be the best in whatever you do. At the same time, understanding that you won't escape the qadar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibrahim says, let me read what he says. Says, I like the book because I'm a basketball fan. Okay, that's excellent. I have an issue with not being content part. How are we supposed to take this? So what he's talking about, he's not saying similar to what Saeed had highlighted, where he said that a person, through his achievement or whatever he may have in life, generally, if you are content, i.e., you want to sit back and you don't want to work harder for anything better that you can achieve. That's the contentment they're talking about here. So we're not talking about being content with what Allah has given you. Being Allah, yes, He's given you. There's certain things you can't change. So for example, how you were born, how old you were, where you were born, etc. Those things you can't change them. Alhamdulillah, whatever happened, you were born wherever. Your parents are so and so. Your siblings are so and so. You can't change any of that. But there's certain things where you are able to make an effort and they can become better, or you can achieve more. That's where they're speaking about contentment. And Islamically, you're also encouraged to do that. For example, a person who doesn't perform his sunnah salah, we encourage him. We say, right, your fard salah is in order. Should we tell him now be content? No, there's something he can still do in order to achieve more. So say, read your sunnah. Okay, you can read his sunnah. Read your nawafil. Okay, you can read that. Are you performing your salah in a way that you have khushu', in a way that you understand what you're saying? You can still go and go and go and improve. That's why the door of improvement is open for every single person. And that is up to death. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. Worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until death comes to you, i.e. until the last breath. Jazakallah khair for that. Anybody wants to add anything else? Sayyida?
Yes. Yes. It's an excellent book. I've learned about the background process of the player, like how many challenges have they faced behind their success. Perhaps the attitude of a successful person is that he or she, does not get stuck in one thing, but keeps moving forward in order to improve. Sometimes even we go through the toughest trials and we forget that we are also on the path to success. Like we being Muslims can have mindset more, what I can say is,
Yes, you mean to say everyone definitely goes through difficulty, and at times a Muslim may go through more difficulty. Also, another important point to mention is when it comes to mistakes, I'm not talking about sin. I'm not about major sin. Sin, major sin, etc. The door of tawbah is always open. However, when it comes to a person making a mistake and it may not work out for him. So for example, you want to try out, I always give the example of business. Let me give a different example. Let's say you want to make something, okay? You're not a cook. You want to make a recipe on the weekend, okay? You start cooking and it doesn't come out. Or sometimes people are scared to even start that process. Why? Scared of making a mistake. Scared it may flop. Scared somebody may laugh at me. Scared somebody may say something. And when you look at all these people, they don't really care what others say. And it's okay to make those mistakes. You make that mistake once, twice, 10 times, 100 times. You learn from that mistake and you carry on. You move forward. A lot of us become paralyzed. So our ideas, when you have a good idea, you'll find that there's people around you or you yourself. You have a good idea. First thing you'll think about is why can't it work? And you'll find you'll always just live in the realm of ideas. Nothing's going to be perfect, no matter what venture you start. Let's say you want to start studying again. You have to make notes. You have to be punctual. You may have to pay fees. You may have to, etc., etc., etc. And the minute a person goes through this difficulty, say, now it's not for me. No, persevere and go through. You haven't yet tasted it. You haven't even entered the door. Enter the door and see how everything is. And you will stumble. You will make mistakes. You will fall down. And there'll be times you don't want to get up. But understand that others have also fallen down and they got up, so you should too. Anybody else wants to share anything? I think this is an interesting discussion.
I would like to stress.
Yes.
Today itself, I went to a story during the time of Dawood alayhi salam. I'm not sure if this is the authentic story or not, but it's indeed beneficial. There was a woman at the time of Dawood alayhi salam, and she used to do knitting, the making of sweaters. Knitting, making of sweaters.
Oh, you mean knitting?
Knit, yeah. Knitting, making of sweaters. So she used to sell a sweater every day, and she used to get some money for her children to eat. So one day, what happened was a bird took the bag of her sweaters and flew away. And she went to Dawood alayhi salam and she asked, "Is Allah just or unjust?" So Dawood alayhi salam was confused with this question. What type of question is this? A Muslim? How can a Muslim ask this question? So as she was asking the question, one man came to Dawood alayhi salam and he gave him a bag of coins of gold. And he said, give it to someone in need. So he said the story that we were in a boat, and our boat got a hole, and a bird came and he put down something in a bag, and there was some instruments of knitting. So we repair our boats from that instrument, and then we decided that if we get saved from this drowning boat, we'll donate all the wealth to someone in need. So the wealth they bring to the woman. So Dawood al-Islam asked her the same question: is Allah just or unjust? It's just a matter of trust to Allah.
Interesting story. Wallahu alam. I don't know how authentic or where it's mentioned. First time I'm hearing it. If you could find us a reference, it will be good, inshallah. And you must remember, some of the stories, even in tafsir, the Messenger ﷺ says, "Hadithu an Bani Israel wala haraj," which literally means speak about what Banu Israel are telling you, and no problem. And same thing, if you apply that rule to this rule, the fact that we're reading a secular book, you'll find the ulama mention that those Israeliyat, those stories in tafsir that agree with Islamic belief, we take them. Those that do not agree with Islamic belief, we leave them. And those that are neither in agreement nor disagreement, it's a matter that's mentioned. For example, the age of the people of Kahf, something mentioned. It's got nothing to do with halal or haram. So here we allowed to say that, oh, it was mentioned X, Y, and Z. Jazakallahu khairan for that. Anything else you guys would like to mention? Nothing else?